You just spoke to county officials who are here in Washington for our legislative conference. They're going to be going home soon to their communities where veterans face a number of tough issues, everything from homelessness to trying to find a job to opioid abuse. If you put yourself in their shoes, where would you begin to solve some of those problems?
I think that our county officials are really the front line, and this is where veterans come and seek help, and they're seeing the problems. So I would hope people would take away the three things from what I talked about this morning are that the federal government wants to help, and it knows that it can't do it alone, and it needs to partner with our local communities. And we need to hear from our county officials as to how we can do our job better. And I hope the message is that we're looking at everything in the federal government. It's not take it like it is. Give us your feedback. We want to be good partners. We want to utilize our resources and leverage them in a way that makes sense. Number two is that the issue of veteran suicide is really important to us. Whether it's the opioid crisis, whether it's ending veterans' homelessness, all of these issues are integrated in with the issue of reducing veteran suicide, but it's getting people that need help the right help. And we want to be there, but we need help from our county officials because of the 20 veterans a day that take their life from suicide, only 6 are getting care in the VA system. So 14 are out in the communities getting the help that they need. And third, the final point I think is that we really want to give more choice to our veterans. And that means identifying opportunities to get care and services in the local communities and in the counties, and designing a system that allows veterans to take the best from what's in the VA system and also what's outside the VA system.
Do veterans have access to alternative medicine? I'm thinking about things like therapy dogs or medical marijuana.
Well, first of all, VA has embraced complementary therapy alternative methods extensively. So when you go to most of our VAs, you can get yoga, mindfulness, Tai Chi, other types of integrative therapies. That's been part of our effort in reducing the opioid crisis. And we are expanding those types of services throughout the country. Service dogs, I'm a strong believer. There's a lot of research going on. I think that's a lot of wasted time. Dogs make a difference to people.
Right.
I don't think sometimes you don't need to study things, and I'm on this side of the issue here. So we want to get dogs out to people who can benefit from them, no question about it. Medical marijuana is a black and white issue. Unfortunately, this is not really an open question. There is federal law on this. It is not legal for us to prescribe marijuana. We are engaged in some research, and we're actively interested in understanding, as states increasingly make medical marijuana, not recreational marijuana, medical marijuana available for appropriate conditions through prescriptions. We think that there can be a lot to learn from that, and we want to be open to learning from that because ultimately we only care about doing what's right for veterans. So look, I'm a practicing doctor. There's an appropriate role for opioids, for pain management. But we should be using it in a stepwise approach to make sure that we can't find non-addictive alternatives first before we start somebody on a course that could end up ruining their lives.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the CHOICE program and where that stands right now?
In 2014, Congress implemented the CHOICE program in response to the national wait time crisis. It was meant to be a 3-year program, and in fact, 3 years came and went. Right. But we worked with Congress to expand and extend that program. And we think that it is now a vital part of the way that we deliver care, that while the VA has an essential role in caring for millions of veterans, 9.1 million, there needs to be a coordination with care in the community. And so we think the CHOICE program needs to be fully integrated into the way that we deliver care. The president agrees with that our new budget shows that. But we now want to fix the CHOICE program to make it easier to use and less administratively burdensome.
Veterans Affairs has streamlined its workforce somewhat in recent years, but it's also facing a hiring shortage. Can you talk about that?
I don't know what streamlined our workforce means. We've added to our workforce, and we continue to actively recruit. We have staffing shortages throughout the country, just like the private sector does. And since 45% of veterans live in rural areas, and rural areas often have healthcare professional shortages, we struggle in particular areas, not as much in our metropolitan areas. So we continue to find ways to attract healthcare professionals. We think the VA is a great place to work. We're using as many tools as we can to get people to understand that. We have about 35,000 vacancies. Now, that sounds like a huge amount. It is a huge amount, but when you have 350,000 employees and you run a turnover rate of about 8 or 9%, you will see you get to about 35,000 each year. And so we're constantly recruiting to be able just to keep up with steady demand as well as to grow our staffing levels.
The President and the VA have said that more veterans will have access to mental health care. What's the latest on that?
Well, we are just about to implement a new program for all service members to get a 1-year mental health benefit. So we've not started that, but we do want that to be an automatic enrollment, the very best that we can. We're working very well with the Department of Defense to make sure that process is seamless and smooth. But we want to make it easier to be able to get services, particularly if you're not feeling well, you're in crisis. You don't want to go and start searching for paperwork and have to wait a long time to get approved.
And when will that begin?
We are going to present a plan to the President on how to do this March 9th, which is just any day now.
Yeah. You're a medical doctor. How does that influence your job as secretary?
Well, I've always been an executive. I've always, since I finished my training, I entered into an executive role running healthcare systems, and I've been the CEO of several great systems across this country. And I've always maintained the practice of medicine. And what it does for me is it allows me to understand the types of decisions that I'm making and how it impacts the people that matter, which are the patients. In this case, in this role, veterans who are patients. And so when I practice medicine, it grounds me and it brings me to a reality that I don't think I would have if I just sat in my office building and made decisions behind the conference table.
Right. Well, thank you very much.